Kharis, in your last article, you mentioned that Taiwan might be entering a period of constitutional crises. Could you explain a little bit about what you mean by this term?
Well, so the most imminent problem is that the Constitutional Court right now in Taiwan does not have a full membership. So there are only 8 justices of the 15 in the court who hold office right now. And the crisis is that the legislature just passed a bill requiring a quorum of at least 10 justices to meet to hear any sort of challenges to laws based on their constitutionality. So we're in a position where the court can't actually rule on anything that the legislature does now. And despite that, the executive branch has asked the court to go ahead and rule on the constitutionality of the law that makes it impossible for them to rule on constitutionality of laws. So we're kind of caught in a limbo here. The court could decide that they have the right to review this law anyway, and then the legislature, I imagine, will probably react in a very harsh way towards the court.
Critics of this bill have stated that the KMT and TPP are politicizing the Constitutional Court by punishing them for rulings against bills which those two parties earlier favored. Can you talk a little bit about this political division right now?
Yeah, I think there's some deeply problematic aspects to the decision to raise the threshold for a valid court decision. The timing is obviously suspicious. The introduction of the raising of the threshold of that bill, it actually occurred right after the court narrowed the scope of Taiwan's death penalty. And that was a perfectly valid thing for the court to do. There's another way you could have designed this law if you weren't trying to punish the court, which is to say this will take effect in 2 years from now, right? And that will give us time to seat new justices. The current ability of the court to actually function won't be affected in the near term. But the opposition chose, I think, to take a more confrontational approach, and I don't think you can read it any other way. I think this was retaliatory against the court, and I think that is, unfortunately, a pretty direct attack on judicial independence in Taiwan.
One of the other key points of tension is the formation of the budget, which has seen key portions slashed. Can you talk a little bit about how this plays into current political tensions inside the legislature?
Let me start with the observation that the legislature does have the legal power to freeze or cut budgets. And that's really the one kind of clear constitutional authority they have over the executive branch. I actually think I fault the Lai administration and President Lai himself for not recognizing the new political dynamic that is now in Taiwan, the new facts on the ground. If you don't have a majority in the legislature, you got to talk to the opposition, right? So I've criticized the DPP. Now let me criticize the opposition as well. The cuts that they've made have just been vindictive. There hasn't been a kind of clear rationale for going after certain parts of the government, other than there are agencies that they just don't like, and they want to send a message to the DPP.